So we've all been handed that traditional money playbook, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
Go to school, get the good job, save your money, invest for retirement, buy the house. You're all set.
It's the standard path, right?
Right.
The map we mostly grew up with.
Exactly. But what if that conventional wisdom, well, what if it's missing some really crucial stuff? What if the most impactful financial lessons, the ones that really make a difference, are found completely outside that old framework?
That's a big question.
It makes you think, what have you been taught about financial success that maybe isn't the whole picture?
Well, that leads us perfectly into today's deep dive. We're looking at a book that honestly redrew that financial map for millions. Robert T. Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Ah, a classic. Published way back in 1997, right?
That's the one.
Yeah.
And it's basically this story-driven exploration of lessons he says he learned from two very different father figures.
Right, the rich dad and the poor dad.
Exactly. His biological father, the poor dad, was highly educated, had a stable government job, follow the rules. And then there was his best friend's father, the rich dad, who was actually a high school dropout, but became this incredibly wealthy entrepreneur. Quite the contrast.
It really is. So our mission here today in this deep dive is to really unpack the core ideas from this book. It's super influential.
Definitely.
We want to look at its strengths, which are undeniable, but also face the criticisms it's received over the years.
Which are also fair points to consider.
And figure out why, despite maybe some rough edges, it's still such a transformative read for so many people.
Think of it as your shortcut, maybe, to understanding this whole financial mindset revolution that Kiyosaki really kicked off.
Yeah.
It's still shaping things today.
Okay, so let's jump right in then. The fundamental idea right from the start, it's all about financial education, isn't it?
It really is.
He basically argues that our traditional schooling, it teaches us how to work for money.
Which is useful, of course.
Sure, but critically, it doesn't teach us how to make money work for us. That's the big shift he focuses on. It sounds subtle, but it's huge.
It absolutely is huge. The book's core message, really, is that genuine financial literacy. That's the key.
So understanding money itself.
Yeah, truly understanding how money works, what an asset actually is versus a liability. Success.
Right.
It's way more than just earning a good salary. It's about knowing the rules of the financial game.
And building on that, the thing that really hit me when I first read it, and it challenged my own thinking, was his really stark distinction between assets and liabilities. This isn't just boring accounting talk, is it? It's like a whole different way of seeing your finances.
Totally.
His famous line is, "The rich buy assets, the poor and middle class buy liabilities they think are assets." That's pretty provocative.
It is. And what Kiyosaki means by that is, well, it's actually crystal clear, but also surprisingly counterintuitive for a lot of people.
How so?
Assets, in his world, are things that literally put money into your pocket regularly.
Okay, like what?
Think investments that pay dividends, or income-generating rental properties, or maybe a business you own that throws off cash.
Got it. Things that generate income.
Exactly. Liabilities, then, are the opposite.
Yeah.
They consistently take money out of your pocket.
Like loans, obviously.
Loans, credit card debt, car payments. But also, and this is where people get tripped up, even that big dream house can be a liability.
Because of the mortgage and upkeep?
Precisely.
Yeah.
The mortgage, property taxes, insurance, endless maintenance costs. They drain your cash flow.
So that connects directly to this rat race idea he talks about. People work harder, get a raise, buy more stuff, often liabilities.
And then they need to work even harder to pay for them. Yeah.
It sounds like this endless treadmill. Is it just about buying too much stuff, or is there something deeper he's pointing at?
I think it's definitely both.
Yeah.
He certainly highlights that cycle of, work, earn, spend on liabilities, immediate gratification.
Yeah.
But more profoundly, it's about the underlying fear. The fear of financial insecurity, the perceived need for that traditional job security that drives those choices. So his proposed escape route, building passive income through investments, starting businesses, it's really about breaking that psychological dependence on the paycheck.
It's fundamentally changing your relationship with work itself.
Exactly. Moving from just trading time for dollars to building something sustainable, something that frees you from that treadmill.
Which leads straight into that pivotal mindset shift he champions, thinking like an owner, an investor, not just an employee.
Yeah.
Now that sounds fantastic, but let's be real. That idea of job security above all else is hammered into most of us. How realistic is it for the average person to just, flip a switch and embrace financial risk.
That's a really crucial point, and it's definitely where his message bumps up against traditional thinking.
Right. It feels risky.
Well, Kiyosaki absolutely encourages taking calculated risks. And just as importantly, learning from your failures. He contrasts that directly with the safe path, the pursuit of absolute job security.
So the risk is not trying.
He'd argue the real risk isn't necessarily losing some money on an investment here or there. The real risk is not learning from those mistakes, staying stuck, and remaining financially dependent forever. It really forces you to ask yourself, how comfortable are you with making some financial mistakes if it means you're learning and growing?
That related concept, work to learn, not to earn, that one really sticks with me too.
It's powerful.
It's not about working for free, obviously, but it pushes back against that idea that every single job move has to maximize your immediate income.
Right. It's about the long game.
Yeah. I remember a mentor told me once, take this job, the pay isn't great, but the people you'll meet, the network. That's exactly what Kiyosaki means, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Intentionally seeking out roles or experiences, even side projects where you learn valuable skills.
Like sales, marketing, investing itself.
Exactly. Skills that build wealth, skills that are evergreen, not just tied to one specific job.
So it's about building a financial toolkit.
Precisely. Not just a bigger paycheck this month. This principle leans heavily into entrepreneurship. Finding a path to genuine financial independence, not just climbing someone else's ladder.
It's seeing your career as a classroom for wealth building.
Well put, yeah.
Okay, and then there's a lesson that feels a bit more advanced, maybe less obvious. The power of corporations.
Ah, yes, that one often surprises people.
It's not just about having a salary versus owning a business, is it? He talks about how the wealthy use legal structures like corporations. What's the actual advantage there? It sounds complicated.
Well, it can seem that way, but the core advantages are actually pretty straightforward. It's mainly about two things: minimizing taxes and protecting your personal assets.
Okay, how does it help with taxes?
Think about it. As a corporation, you can often deduct a much wider range of expenses related to generating income before you pay tax. A regular employee gets taxed on their salary first, then pays expenses out of what's left.
So you pay tax on less income, effectively.
In many cases, yes. And crucially, it provides a legal shield, a layer of separation between your business finances and your personal finances.
Meaning if the business gets sued or goes bust.
Your personal assets, like your house or savings, are generally protected. They can't usually come after your personal stuff. For someone building significant assets, that protection is huge.
So understanding tax laws and these structures is presented as a major leg up.
Absolutely. Crucial for serious long-term wealth building, and definitely something often missed by people just focused on their paycheck.
Okay, let's step back a bit. What do we see as the biggest strengths of Rich Dad, Poor Dad? Why did it resonate so much?
Well, for me, number one has to be the simple and engaging storytelling.
Totally agree.
Kiyosaki uses these personal stories, this very easy-to-grasp language. And that core contrast, the rich dad versus the poor dad, it just effectively hammers home the lessons. It makes complex ideas feel, well, simple.
Yeah, very accessible. And another huge strength is how it challenges conventional wisdom, right?
Oh, massively.
Yeah.
It really shook things up by questioning that ingrained belief that just getting good grades and a stable job equals success. That was revolutionary for a lot of readers.
And related to the simple storytelling, it's just so accessible for beginners. You don't need an MBA to understand it.
Not at all. No prior financial knowledge needed. It really opened the door to financial thinking for people who might have been intimidated before.
And fundamentally, it does promote financial independence. You can't deny that.
No, it's incredibly motivational in that sense.
For so many people, it was the spark, the thing that made them look beyond the 9-to-5 and think about passive income, starting a business, investing smarter.
It shifts your whole focus from just earning money to actually building wealth that works for you.
Okay, but it's not perfect. Let's talk criticisms.
Right, and this leads to a big one people often raise. Despite all that motivational power, there's a definite lack of concrete steps.
Yeah, you read it, you get fired up, and then you think, now what?
Exactly. It gives you this powerful new mindset, this general advice, but it doesn't really tell you how to do it.
No step-by-step guides on investing or starting a business.
Nope. You won't find specific stock picks or detailed instructions on setting up an LLC. It's more philosophy than a practical manual.
And then there's the whole questionable accuracy thing.
Yes. The doubts about whether Rich Dad was even a real person.
Or maybe just a composite character made up to illustrate the points.
It's possible. Kiyosaki's been a bit vague on that. And the book definitely blurs the line sometimes between, say, personal development and hard financial theory.
Which can frustrate people looking for verifiable facts and strategies.
Understandably so. And another related criticism is oversimplification.
Like, just buy assets.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Critics argue it boils down complex economic situations and investment strategies into maybe overly simplistic takeaways. The real world usually has more gray areas, more nuance.
That's fair.
And while he talks about various assets, there's definitely a heavy focus on real estate, wouldn't you say?
Oh, for sure. It often comes across as the primary path to wealth in the book.
Which, might not resonate with everyone, or even be the most practical starting point for all beginners, depending on their capital or location.
Good points. But gosh, Kiyosaki does have some incredibly memorable quotes that just stick in your head.
He really does. He has a knack for that.
Like this one. In school, we learn that mistakes are bad, and we are punished for making them. Yet if you look at the way humans are designed to learn, we learn by making mistakes.
That's a powerful one. It ties right back into that core mindset shift, doesn't it?
Completely. It underpins his foundational advice. Don't work for money, make money work for you.
It's about being active, learning, experimenting, not just being passive.
And here's a really provocative one. One that challenges a belief many of us were raised with. The love of money is not the root of all evil.
Ooh, yeah. What's the rest?
The lack of money is the root of all evil.
Wow. Okay, that definitely makes you stop and think. It flips the script entirely.
It really does.
So look, despite the valid criticisms, the lack of concrete steps, the questions about accuracy, Rich Dad, Poor Dad generally lands somewhere around a 4 out of 5 rating overall.
Still holds up.
Yeah, and it really is considered a must-read, especially if you're just starting your financial journey or if you feel stuck and need a new perspective.
It doesn't give you the detailed how-to manual, maybe.
No, it doesn't. But what it does, and does incredibly well, is it changes your why. It changes what you're aiming for. And honestly, that's often the absolute first, most critical step towards actual financial freedom, getting your head right.
So thinking about our listeners, what does this all mean for you?
Yeah, how do you apply this?
Maybe you're a beginner just trying to figure out personal finance. Or maybe you're a young adult making career choices right now.
Or an employee who keeps thinking about starting a side hustle.
Right. Or maybe you just feel kind of stuck in that paycheck to paycheck grind.
This deep dive hopefully shows why these ideas from Kiyosaki, even decades later, still resonate so strongly and offer such a fresh way to look at your money and your future.
So here's a final thought to leave you with, something to chew on.
Okay.
If we really take on board Kiyosaki's core idea of working to learn, not just to earn, and if we genuinely start to see financial mistakes not as failures to be terrified of, but as opportunities for growth, valuable lessons,
Yeah.
how might that fundamentally change how you think about your next career move? Or even something as simple as how you approach your spending day to day?